With that loss to Wrexham last night, we've only had one win in our last 5 games. But we've got Portsmouth away on Saturday to try and sort it all out, and we're still 7th in the table. This is another episode of The Robin's Nest. Alright, we've got a couple of games to talk through in this video then. The first one is Saturday's 3-0 win at home to Swansea. Good game, good result, but I think my overarching feeling about the game is we didn't necessarily need to really get out of like third gear to get the result. Swansea were pretty poor, and after we scored our first goal from that corner, I think we were, in the ascendancy and we're always going to win the game. I just feel like, to be fair, there was a gap, certainly after our first goal, where we dropped off in the first half. Swansea had their chances, but they were just so wasteful with them in the game. I thought Swansea in particular, well, they were really poor. I think we won the game by Swansea being poor as opposed to us being really good. That's not to take away how good we were, though. Our team was Vitek, Tanner, Dickey, Viner, McCrory, Twine, Randall, Mehmeti, Neto Borges, and Jacobson, Emil Rees and Armstrong up front. Mehmeti and Twine were kind of the deeper lying number 10s. And Viner, it's got him here as part of the back three, but I think he was basically tasked with doing a man-marking job on Cullen, and he was popping out of that defence at every opportunity to try and steal the ball off him. Or I thought we did a really good job to keep Cullen quiet. That was obviously an instruction that he had from Struber, and it obviously paid off. It worked really well. How do I feel this game went overall? Like I said, I don't think we necessarily needed to get out of sort of third gear to win it. I think there are a couple of talking points I wanted to get across about players. First of all, we had a couple returning to the bench from injury. So Jason Knight made it on in the 59th minute. Tidy things up in midfield, I thought. Pring made the bench, but to be honest, I don't think he needed to be introduced during that game. We were in the ascendancy, and I just don't think it was worth the risk to bring him on. My thoughts during the game were, why are we not doing it? But it kind of made sense, really. One player that I really wanted to highlight from this game, and if I can use this channel to in any way like influence Bristol City fans or whatever, I think this is probably the strongest thing I can say from the game. 3 assists for Anis Mehmeti in that one. He was by far and away our best player, and I think this season he has been by far and away our best player, right? We're just going to go on his overall stats if I can click on his profile. So this season, in 17 games, he's had 5 goals and 6 assists, so 11 attacking returns from 17 games. He has been by far and away our best player this season. And we all know that he's got a year left on, well, less than a year left on his contract. Whether he re-signs or not, I don't know. I'm to be honest, I'm more doubtful that he re-signs than thinking he does. The only way I think we keep Anis Mehmeti, realistically, is if we get promoted to the Premier League. But quite honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see him move to like a top European league. I don't think... Thing is, he can play the number 10, can't he? But I think the thing holding him back from a Premier League move is like outright athleticism. He's obviously very fit. He's the fittest player based on tests they were doing in the summer in the squad. But in terms of that like outright pace and power that you would associate with a lot of Premier League wingers, he doesn't really have that. But I don't think that would stop him playing in another top European league. But anyway, that's what's going to happen to him in the summer. My overarching point is, this guy's our best player, right, Anis Mehmeti, in terms of attacking assets. And I think we should treat him that way as a talisman. We'll talk about the Wrexham game. He missed a chance in that game, but I still don't feel like, I'm not, fans are entitled to their own opinions, right? They can say what they like about Bristol City players. You pay your money, you're entitled to say what you like. But I think Anis Mehmeti has been our best player this season by a country mile in terms of attackers. And with that in mind, I think he should be treated that way. He gets criticised a bit too much, I think. He doesn't necessarily get shown enough love from the fans. I'll just go back to, this guy is our best player. He should be treated that way, in my opinion. I had some comments when I tweeted like that with people joking, saying I was considering him the second coming of Lionel Messi, stuff like that. Obviously not, but in terms of the context of Bristol City, he kind of is our Messi, right, in that regard. So, yeah, just wanted to make a little comment there about Mehmeti. Oh, I didn't want to talk about this. 2-0 away at Wrexham. 2 goals Wrexham scored, by the way, were both such low percentage goals. Broadhead with a really nice curler from outside the box. I can't remember who took the corner for Wrexham, but they scored directly from a corner. Oh, I want to forget that goal. I know they were low percentage goals, but we also let them in behind for a couple of other opportunities. I remember Kiefer Moore had a couple of big ones. He missed them. Just a poor performance overall. And to be honest, it's not necessarily overall we were poor. I just thought for the first sort of 30, 35 minutes of the game, we started really slowly. And I was quite surprised, really, to see how slowly we started, because Wrexham away, right, with the narrative and the story that's behind Wrexham, you know, the Netflix shows, etc. Surely, as a pro footballer, that's an away game that you're really up for, right? But it just didn't appear to be the case. We have Vitek in goal. Yeah, corner, he could have done better. Tanner, Dickey, and Hayden Roberts on the back line. Roberts went off for, well, Pring came on eventually. I think he came on in the 79th minute. We lost, he made an attacking substitution for Roberts, bringing on Jason Knight, and Sykes came off for Sinclair Armstrong. So Struber obviously went for the game with his substitutions, but I don't, I've nothing personal against Hayden Roberts. He doesn't seem like a bad bloke or anything like that. But in terms of quality of players that should be playing for Bristol City, he didn't have his worst game yesterday. So yesterday wasn't the game to really highlight for it. But I just don't think I want to see him really play for us again, to be honest. You might think that's overly harsh, but yeah, genuinely, I don't think he's good enough for a playoff team. I know last season he was in a playoff team for good minutes, and obviously scored a massive goal against West Brom to get us in the playoffs. But I just don't think he's good enough, I'll be honest. And I think at the start of the season, it proved that the powers that be at the club and Struber also didn't think he was good enough in the fact that they signed Neto Borges, because they didn't trust Roberts, to play left of the three or left wing back. We've got Pring back now. Neto Borges seems to be back from his injury too. So hopefully that means that, we don't necessarily have to see Roberts again. McCrory is the left wing back in that game. I didn't speak about him in the Swansea game because it didn't show up as much. I don't think he had his worst game against Wrexham, but I do really think, McCrory started this season and he was basically like the second coming of Cafu. Like, genuinely, he was amazing. And I just feel in the few weeks, the week before international break up to now, he's just dropped off a level. And I personally can't put my finger on what it is. Whether he's carrying an injury or something, I don't know. He's obviously been through a fair few trials and tribulations at Bristol City so far, but seems to have come through them pretty much unscathed. Seems a pretty mentally strong guy. So I don't really know what the problem is with McCrory at the moment. He just doesn't seem to be playing at his best. Viner in midfield again alongside Randall. Both decent enough, to be honest. It wasn't really a game. They didn't necessarily get exposed in this game, to be honest. I wouldn't say. Sykes, right wing back, didn't really have his best game. I didn't feel it wasn't terrible, but just didn't have his best game. I would say that's kind of the overarching feeling I have. No one really put in a terrible performance in that game, but I think collectively as a group they were just a level below what they were. Well, even if weren't even that good against Swansea, to be honest. I think, like I said, the result was almost kind to us in a way that Swansea were bad. Mehmeti still got our highest rating. He probably had our biggest chance of the game, didn't he? We'll talk about the disallowed goal. Probably had our biggest chance of the game. But as the ball sort of rolled for him, it was bobbling all over the place. So it was a difficult chance. And obviously, McCrory, who I just spoke about, had the disallowed goal. Oh, man. I can't show any replays of it back, but just overall, the referee in that game was just abysmal. And the disallowed goal definitely should have stood. It was a bit of a joke, really. I feel like, and to be honest, it's hard to it's really, I don't like blaming outside interferences on the game, if that makes sense, because ultimately we weren't good enough yesterday. But I feel like if that goal was allowed to stand, the game would have been a lot different, right? We'd have been 1-1 on the ascendancy. We were better after that. Could have won the game. But yeah, it is what it is. A 2-0 loss to Wrexham, but we're still somehow still 7th in the table, just 1 point off a playoff position. Ipswich have overtaken us now. They've got a game in hand. That's to be played against Blackburn, I guess, at some point. But yeah, still 1 point off the playoffs. So, 1 win in 5 games. We're still 1 point off the playoffs. It's not too bad. So we look ahead then. I'll just go on Bristol City and our upcoming fixtures. We look ahead then to Portsmouth. Forgive me while I'm clicking away. We are... it's evens by the looks of it. There's no real favourite. We're both joint odds to win the game. Top scorer is Scott Twine, who obviously missed the Wrexham game as well with a quad injury. I feel like I've been a little bit messy with this Wrexham review, but yeah, that was another talking point, was there was no Scott Twine in the starting lineup. Obviously, he injured his quad. Hopefully, he'll be back for the weekend. Struve was saying he just wasn't ready to play the Wrexham game. I wonder actually how much in that Wrexham game we missed Scott Twine. Both teams with only one win in their last 5 games, pretty much identical records, to be fair. 3-0 away loss to Sheffield United for Portsmouth. We lost 2-0 to Wrexham. A win just after the international break. They beat Millwall 3-1, which is obviously a good result for them. Losing to Hull, draw 0-0 against Wrexham, then a 4-0 loss to Birmingham. Their team, it looks like this. There's obviously Marlon Pack who will be in there and thereabouts. Josh Murphy, Colby Bishop. I think the overarching feeling you get going into this game, this was the team that played Sheffield United and lost 3-0. The overarching feeling you get about this game is I think they're going to be a physical side that really test us physically, probably more so than Wrexham did. So we need to be ready for that. I would hedge my bets that he came off the bench last night. Maybe Cam Pring is back in line for a start. I would really like to see Pring left centre back, Dickey in the middle, and then it's tough on George Tanner, but I think I'd like to see Viner get back onto the right centre back position with Knight in the midfield. I think the team outside of that sort of picks itself at the moment, really. I'll probably have Neto Borges left wing back, McCrory back on the right, or Sykes. I don't think there's too much to separate the two of them, to be honest. Twine, if he's back fit, goes on the right of the 10, Mehmeti, and then Rees or Sinks up front. Yeah. Tough game, I think. Tough away place to go, but at the same time, a real opportunity, I think, to pick up 3 points, because we just go back to Bristol City and the upcoming fixtures we've got. They get very tough. Very, very tough after Portsmouth. Saturday the 6th is Millwall at home. Then we're at home to Leicester on Wednesday night. Saturday the 13th, we've got Coventry away. Bristol City are at home to Middlesbrough on the 20th. You know, it's really tough. Millwall, Leicester, Coventry, Borough, West Brom, Millwall again. Tough games. So yeah, let's hope we get those 3 points against Portsmouth to get us on a good run for those. Although the one thing I would say, and you know, you can shoot me down if you think I'm wrong, I almost feel like we match up better against some of these teams than the lower level of opposition we played in recent game weeks. Just a thought. All right, well, that's the end of the video. I'm trying to be as positive as I can, but ultimately we've had one win in our last 5, and the loss to Wrexham was a tough one to take in my mind. I was really expecting us to get something in that one. So forgive me if I'm a little bit too negative, but yeah, hopefully some talking points there resonated with you. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like rating and subscribe to the Robin's Nest channel if you haven't already. I'll be back again next week to cover, well, the Portsmouth game and then preview Millwall on the 6th of December. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of the couple of games. I was just pausing to think about what to say. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.